Well, are we, Chef Matt in the studio?
I guess we are. Yeah, we'll do a quick little detour, talk about pear foods because of Valentine's Day. I have to admit, over the past few years, I've been getting kind of lazy on Valentine's Day just because we do the Valentine's Day White Day thing in our household.
Oh.
So Valentine's Day is when my wife surprises me with... oh my goodness.
Chocolates.
No, so the first time, the first Valentine's Day we spent together, we had been together for, I guess, 7 months by that point.
Okay.
And I had just gotten her into cooking. She cooked her very first meal with me. Yeah, so I had just gotten her cooking.
Well, that's fun.
This was the first thing she had ever baked. She decided to make me cookies, and they were adorable. They're little teddy bears, and she had even like printed on them like with a little stencil like "Happy Birthday" or "Happy Valentine's Day."
Decorated them.
To my dear Matt.
The whole 9 yards.
But she thought she would get creative. It's like, you know what? Maybe we'll make these cookies without any sugar or salt and make them healthy. Oh. So essentially, she made me very pretty like pet treats. Biscuits. They were very, very healthy, I will say. A little too healthy.
Not really a treat.
No, not really a treat.
Healthy. I mean, sustainable.
Healthy for sure. Although I do want to say, in terms of Valentine's Day pairings, one of the most, I guess, classic is like chocolate dipped strawberries and champagne.
Oh, yes.
That might be the worst culinary combination ever. Because the chocolate, it's kind of fatty, but against something juicy like a strawberry, kind of crumbles.
Yeah.
And then strawberry is also a little tart, so champagne, and you mix them together, and you get this really kind of like weird, fatty, sour combination in your mouth. I prefer the much more kind of complimentary oysters and champagne.
Oysters and champagne,
I think, is a much better combination.
We're not talking about oysters today. We are talking about beef. 소가 this year is the year of the ox.
The year of the ox. That's right. It is my year. I have gone through exactly 3 cycles as an ox on this planet.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
그래서 최근에 여러분 소고기 또는 소로 만든 음식이 있다면 먹었던 적이 있다면 사진으로 보내주세요. We want to see all your favorite beef meals that you've eaten recently. Send them on over. 샵 1013으로 단문 50원, 장문 100원 유료 문자 보내주시면 추첨을 통해서 커피 쿠폰 드리겠습니다. Woo. Now this is definitely a sachi as well. Like
this is a flex.
소고기 flex 할 수 있어요.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. No matter how you cut it. I think there's an image of Koreans eating a lot of beef, and it is true. We do love our beef. I think though, the way we eat beef is impressive, not necessarily in terms of quantity, but also in the number of cuts that we eat.
Right. 소 같은 경우에는 머리부터 발끝까지, 속부터 the outside to the inside, you just use it all.
From the guts to the leather, we use it all. Absolutely. Right. And you know, the number of different cuts or pui that we have here in Korea is absolutely staggering. So in general, your average US butcher or grocery shop, you'll find 22 different cuts of beef in the US. In France, they have about 35, which is, they break them down to even smaller parts. Here in Korea, it's not uncommon for someone to go their entire life and come across a cut of beef that they've never eaten before because we have about 120 different cuts of beef here in Korea.
그러니까요. 저도 이걸 생각해봤는데 미국 같은 경우에는 그냥 평범하기 때문에 스테이크 있고 ribeye 있고 shoulder 있고 이런 보통적인 그런 cuts 부위들이 있는데 이제 아시아 쪽으로 들어가면 들어갈수록
Absolutely.
There's so many interesting, unique, never heard of cuts that you'll be eating in your stews or even raw.
Raw, yes, absolutely. And one of the reasons why I think is because here in Korea, we generally don't eat our beef as steaks, as one large piece. And as a result, you have, really wonderful cuts of meat, say like chimasar or 살치살, where you can only get one per cow. Only, with chimasar, you can only get 1 or 2 steaks per cow. But if you divide that up into smaller slices to eat as like 고기 구이, then you can get many more portions out of it.
I see. So we as Americans are a tad bit greedy?
Yeah, I would say so.
A little bit bigger.
A little bit bigger, yeah. Go big, go home style.
Right.
Yeah, so I think, being the year of the ox, let's go with the one that's actually referred to by the ox name, and that is oxtail or 꼬리. 꼬리's higher. But what do you think? What are you a fan?
I am a big fan of oxtail. Of course, I don't eat it as is. I mean, I don't know if anybody can, but
I think it'd be impossible. I don't even think that my dog could eat through like a raw.
chew through
It's
it.
so cartilaginous. In fact, I would probably say it's one of the cuts of meat that probably takes the longest in terms of like simmering time. It's between that and yangji, like one of the two, like right, like just to get like tender and what is it like edible?
맞아요. 우리 엄마도 이 꼬리로 oxtail 수프로 떡국을 만드시거든요. And so I had some today as well, and it took her 2 to 3 days to
Yeah.
boil it down to get that milky white color.
That's what you're looking for. It's just when
Yeah.
everything just kind of comes together. The reason why kori takes so long to cook is just because think about what a tail does. It just moves all day long. It's just getting that workout. And to break it down like that, it just takes a long time. But even beyond that, just to do it really well, here in Korea, we like our yuksu very 맑아, very clear, very light. And in order to do that, you have to wash them and then
맞아요.
데쳐 them,
That's
blanch
right.
them, wash them again. My mom does it up to 3 to 4 times. She's obsessive about getting that really, really clear yuksu.
깨끗한 맛.
Right. And the number one way to have kori is probably in kori 곰탕.
그렇죠.
Now, do you know the difference between a 곰탕 and a 설렁탕?
Difficult question. I
You're on
don't.
the spot.
Yeah.
Okay, so the big differentiating factor between like a 곰탕 and a 설렁탕 is that 설렁탕 is a 사골육수 based broth. Always. It means it's always based off of the bone. Whereas the 곰탕 is always based off of majority of meat. Now, 설렁탕 could have some meat in it, and 곰탕 could be based on some like 사골 뼈
Right.
on some bone. But it's that ratio that's the really big determining factor.
I see.
And then, of course, in 곰탕, you'll also have other parts like the stomach that go in there too to give it that extra beefy cowiness.
Yeah. 저도 미역국 같은 경우에도 이 해물보다는 소고기
Oh,
들어가는
absolutely.
게
I mean,
I love
once in a
소고기.
while, I like the hammer style, but
Yeah.
if I have to pick one for the rest of my life, it's got to be the 소고기 based
Yeah,
one.
and even with these, these soups, I mean, it's so, it's quite amazing how much you can use the bone just to boil it down and get some good soup, good milky broth.
Which is why I think here in Korea, you find that like in grocery stores, you find being able to get 사골뼈, those big leg soup bones, much more common than I've ever found anywhere in the West. And it's also one of the reasons why I think oxtail is actually a very expensive cut in Korea versus in other countries where you almost can't find it because no one's looking for it. If you go to a butcher, they'll often just give it to you because they can't sell it.
Oh, really?
Absolutely, yeah.
공짜로 그냥
그냥
받을 수 있어요?
because they would be throwing it out otherwise. I'm in some foodier areas or in some ethnic areas. I know that oxtail is very big in Caribbean and Jamaican cuisine. But outside of a very few rare instances, it's very rare to find kori in
right.
an American supermarket.
Well, we are getting some messages. Oh my goodness. I hope you ate, Matt. I hope you ate dinner.
For acoustic's sake, I did today.
Thank goodness. 지금 2254님께서 사진 보내주시는데요. 결혼 4주년 기념 강릉 가서 먹은 비프 버거예요. 스테이크도 좋아하긴 하지만 이것도 먹으면 천국의 맛이에요. 패티 2장 되어 있는 것도 주문했고요. 둘이서 수제 버거 3개 먹은 안 비밀? 라고 보냈는데요. The secret to eating 3 burgers by just the 2 of them.
Wow.
Double patties too.
That's some good work there.
That is. You know it's a good burger when it has a toothpick to hold everything inside.
When gravity's not enough.
Yeah, that's right. 0089님께서는 한동안 제 메신저 프로필 사진이었어요. Talking about a picture of a slab of meat on the grill. 기름기 좔좔 입에서 살살 녹았던 추억입니다. 월요일 음식 이야기는 신의 한 수입니다. 라고 보냈습니다.
That's a beautiful cut of meat there. I'm going to guess that's checketsar that I'm
Oh, is
seeing right
it?
there. Yes, skirt steak is what I'm going to guess.
Can you actually tell just by looking at it?
Generally, yeah. The more that you see of it, then the more you'll be able to recognize it. But that's going to be my guess. checketsar.
와, 또 이거는 만만치 않은데요. 7688님께서는 오늘 홈국 점심이었어요.
A lunch. Dang.
Wow, that is a great looking steak. You've got the grilled onions and mushrooms, side salad까지, 아보카도까지 들어간 side salad. 고급집니다. That is some high quality meat. We're getting another message. 6543님께서 nice beef and decent wine always makes me happy. Well, taking a photo of a great piece of steak right on the fire
that
grill.
looks like 안심 tenderloin.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and you can, the telltale round shape.
Okay. 전문가라 딱 봐도 부위를 잘 알 텐데요. And it looks like a 고구마 as well, or some sort of potato on the grill.
Something on the side is wrapped in foil. I can't tell what it is.
I
but
love that
I'm
we
sure.
do that here in Korea.
Right.
That's the
Yeah.
best part. 약간 후식으로 드시는 그 고구마 아니면 감자도
Sure.
완전, it's like a little treat. But we are talking about beef today since it is the year of the cow or the ox. 그래서 최근에 여러분 소고기 또는 소로 만든 음식 사진이 있다면 보내주세요. 샵 1013으로 단문 50원, 장문 100원 유료 문자 보내주시면 추첨을 통해서 커피 쿠폰 드리겠습니다. 새송이 버섯이래요. 랩에 쌓였던 거.
I guess 통째로 구울 거면은 you'd have to wrap it up so it cooks all the way through. Although
that's right.
oftentimes if it's sliced thin, then you can just grill it as is.
통째로 들어가니까.
그럴 수도 있고. Because
Wow.
새송이 버섯 can, some of them
Quite
are as
big.
big as my arm.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's a great tip. 한번 해봐야 되겠네요. All right, so we're talking about some cuts of meat, and we only got to one of them.
One of them, yes. And we're going to talk about the unusual cuts today. I know that for Valentine's Day, oftentimes that, you'll have things like, we mentioned like the 채끝 and the 안심, but also things like 등심 as well, the ribeye. I think those are the very kind of pricey,
Go-tos.
AAA cuts. But I think we're going to talk about some more unusual cuts today, including 우설. Do you like 우설?
I've actually never tried, and I've worked at a Japanese grill restaurant where they have these skewers, and they always served it. And a few times customers would come in, these daring customers would buy it, and sometimes I would be tempted to maybe try it. But the biggest thing, the most unusual thing I ever tried was gizzard, which is chicken gizzard.
Yeah.
I was never
뭐랬지?
able to go for the full beef tongue, but
I'll
it's
tell you
impressive.
what, like one of these days, I'm going to have someone feed you beef tongue without you knowing what it is, because I think
맞아요.
psychologically, it's that roadblock of knowing what it is. Because if you just have it, it's meat.
Oh, really?
It tastes and chews like any other kind of kind of 쫄깃한 cut of meat. And it's
맛은 그냥 소고기 맛이에요.
그냥 소고기 맛이고요.
그래요. 심리적으로 알면서 먹으면 조금 약간
And for 우설, you eat it for the texture because it's almost 탱글탱글해. It's got like a little bit of a snap to the chewiness.
wow.
So it's got a really fantastic texture. And in Mexican cuisine, you might have had it snuck in your taco at one point in your past because tacos de lengua, tongue tacos, are also very popular in Mexico. It's a
Interesting.
cut that braises really well, but it also, if you slice it very thin or into small little cubes, it's got a great kind of chewy, snappy texture when you grill it.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta look this up. I mean, you talk about everything that you can use in a cow, for a cow. How long and big is a cow's tongue for it to be sold as a...
Oh, they're pretty big, like around the size of my forearm, so about 30, 45 centimeters.
Wow.
When you take off, so when you get the tongue, it looks like a big tongue.
Yeah.
It still has but once you take out all the outside of the tongue, it looks just like a long cylinder of meat.
Fully stretched 찾아봤는데요. It's around 3 feet. 그렇다면 한 1m.
Right, but the part
Wow.
that you get is about
I see.
1 foot. But
Okay.
yeah, I do. Oh my god, oh my goodness, I do remember when we would get them in for special. Sometimes they would come attached with the rest of the throat.
Oh, wow.
So that was fun to deal with because we had no idea what to do with that other than
Right.
throw it out.
Right. Yeah. I guess, I mean, for that, maybe if we were a little bit more skilled to use it in a broth or...
I'm sure I'm sure you could figure out something to do with it, especially in leaner times in the past when nothing would go to waste. I'm sure that it all end up being ground into some kind of sausage somewhere.
Yeah. We're getting in another message. I'm sorry. That's a great photo of steak. You got some shrimp. You got a baked potato as well. 6970님께서는 코로나 때문에 외식 못하다가 오랜만에 아이들과 외식했어요. 스테이크는 냠냠 맛있게 흡입했어요.
Oh, that is a classic surf and turf right
Yeah. 아, 진짜 you just inhale it. 흡입이라는 표현은 그냥 숨 마시는 그 정도의 그냥 빨리 드셨던 inhale이라고 할 수 있는데요. So I don't know if you would inhale like cow's tongue. Is
No,
it
I
that
think you'd
delicious?
savor it. I think
Okay.
it's one of those things that I think you normally you just get a few pieces of it at a time. I don't think I've ever heard of anyone having a tongue feast before.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Maybe just a little bit.
Yeah, it's one you have it one of those nights when you're trying a little bit of everything.
Right. And if you want a little bit of everything, why not just go for the entire head?
Which we do here in Korea, especially if you're hankering for some 국밥, which we've mentioned before on this show as being almost the original fast food. It is essentially, it's soup and rice together in one bowl. And here in Korea, oftentimes you'll find 소머리 국밥.
그렇죠. 주문하기 전에 그냥 있어요. 와 있어요.
It better be. Otherwise, if it doesn't take 1 minute to get to your table, it's going to take about 3 hours because it means it's not ready yet.
Right. 1 minute이 뭐예요? 몇 초 안에 you just get it on your table. 소머리 국밥. This is something that's also kind of a scary thought. But actually, you don't really see the entire head.
No, you don't. You just get these the parts of the cheek and the jaw. It's like 꼬리, where they're basically working out all day long. So basically, the more exercise a muscle gets, if you cook it long and low and slow, that's how you get that really luscious fall apart texture in your mouth.
I'm a big fan of cartilage. And so the kind of translucent type of meat that I get in my stew,
It's like meat. It's like beef jelly.
어렸을 때부터 좋아했어요.
Oh my god! I think that's one of those things you have to grow up with. Like you either have to love it or hate it.
Right.
And which is brings us to our next one, which you might like. Do you like 도가니?
도가니 너무 좋아하죠.
That's the king of cartilage.
진짜.
It's the best cartilage on the cow.
이것도 약간 호불호인 게 어떤 사람이 이 texture as you talk about,
Right.
it's just I don't like it's too slimy or it's supposed to be meaty but it's not. 근데 반면으로는 너무 좋아하시는 분이
Sure.
너무
Yeah, it's got that 식감, that texture to it. Yeah, it falls right up. If cooked properly, it should have just like a little bit of chew and then just kind of fall right apart.
Right.
Yeah, be beefy, but shouldn't taste like a barnyard. It should taste like
Right.
It's essentially it's beef just in a slightly different texture.
And you don't need your teeth, really.
No, you don't. You're just gonna let it, just slide down into your tummy.
And it is quite fatty also.
It
꽤
is.
느끼하긴
Yeah,
해요.
but there's almost no fat in it. That's all just pure protein.
Right.
Before it gets cooked down for that long, essentially it's inedible. It is, it is stronger than most rubbers out there.
Right.
It just takes hours and hours and hours of cooking. And the plus is when you take something that kind of cartilaginous and you boil it for so long, that all that extra collagen goes into the soup and it makes the soup nice and thick as well. Sometimes you have like 곰탕 and it's so good and then like your face will kind of be sticky afterwards.
Yes.
That's the collagen.
야, 맞아요,
Yeah,
맞아요.
it's a melted cartilage.
먹고 나서 입이 약간 마를 수도 있고
Right.
and
끈적끈적하고.
끈적끈적거리고. It's sticky. Your lips get sticky. They stick together and they dry up because of the saltiness as well. But
Yeah, and if the beauticians are to believe, all this cartilage, all this collagen is good for your skin as well.
so they say.
The jury's out on that. However, we might want to visit this next week when we talk about some food myths.
Oh, some food myths. Yeah, stay tuned. Well, the last one that we have here, I'm actually not so familiar with this at all.
You might not be familiar with this as a term or something that you come across as a home cook, but this is something that a lot of restaurants will use. And so it's not a strange cut per se, but udun, top round. It comes from essentially the rear end of the cow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a very cheap cut of stewing meat found in the United States, and if you're very unfortunate, you can get it as a steak, and it'll be a steak that's almost too tough to even cut with a knife. It'll break your silverware.
Wow.
Yeah, but here in Korea, we have a very specific use for it, and that's 육회.
Ah, 육회가.
Yes, not 6 times, but we're talking about some of the best 육회 comes from 우둔살 because if you look at it, the grains are so pronounced. If you look at the muscle, it's like it's like looking at like a bodybuilder's muscles. You just see these grains that are just like thick. And so what you do is you kind of slice along those grains and you get these almost strands of beef, which is why Korean 육회 or steak tartare, instead of chopped up very finely like you find in other cultures, you get these almost kind of like small noodles of meat. And that's how you get it. You get it from that 우둔살.
얇게 쓸어가지고.
Exactly. And so this is a bargain bin. This is like what they serve, to cafeterias and prisons in the United States. Here in Korea, though, like 우둔살 from a 한우 can be as expensive as any other cut on the cow because it's prized as a meat to make 육회 from.
Yeah, one man's trash, another man's treasure. I mean, in the States, as you said, it's just served in cafeterias for schools and for prisons as well, for these 단체 cafeterias.
Sure.
And then here in Korea, I mean, per plate, 3만 원, 4만 원 올라가잖아요.
Once you realize you can do something beautiful with something,
그쵸.
you said, one man's trash is another man's treasure, and we do a lot of treasure digging here in Korea.
Yeah, well, certainly. We're talking about the year of the ox, and that brought us to unusual beef cuts. Hopefully, you enjoyed our show. Thank you very much, Chef Matt, for being on our show today.